All right, guys, so here is the example of annotations from Beowulf. That way you can use this as your example if you want it. So again, this up here is going to be kind of a summary of what is happening before your section because we're not reading the whole thing of Beowulf. And remember, I'm looking for 3 to 4 pieces of annotation per page, and you want to maybe color code between characterization, conflict, and any imagery you see. So I'm going to go through this first page with you, and I'm using this read and write program up here that is installed on a lot of the Chromebooks. So that brings up this toolbar, okay? So if I start here with the Wrath of Grendel, a powerful monster living down in the darkness growled in pain, impatient, as day after day the music rang loud in that hall. The harp's rejoicing call and the poet's clear songs, sung of the ancient beginnings of us all, recalling the Almighty making the earth, shaping these beautiful plains marked off by oceans, then proudly setting the sun and moon to glow across the land and light it. The corners of the earth were made lovely with trees and leaves, made quick with life, with each of the nations who now move on its face. So in this little section, because this is one sentence right here, remember our period doesn't show up until way down here, I'm going to look through and I am going to use my yellow to highlight characterization. And I'm going to look at Grendel first. I'm going to say that he's growling in pain and he's impatient. I'm going to make that yellow. And then I'm going to make my annotation because the highlighting is not annotations. You have to make the comments. I'm going to make this characterization, and I'm going to say that the monster hates whatever the men are doing. And he's angry, okay? We may not know why, but he's angry because all of this music and the harp and songs, okay? Then I noticed that I'm going to use a different color here. So we have this whole section where it's talking about making the earth. And this is just beautiful imagery. So I'm going to make imagery green, and it's very descriptive language. And this is the creation of the earth, and it's beautiful. Okay, and maybe these things have something to do with each other. Maybe Grendel doesn't care for the music of the Almighty, okay, it's God. So perhaps he's in pain because they're talking about God. I don't know why that would be yet, but it does describe him as a monster. Okay, and if we keep going from where we left off at our period, it says, and then as now, warriors sang of their pleasure. So Hrothgar's men lived happy in his hall, till that monster stirred, that demon, that fiend, Grendel, who hunted the moors, the wild marshes, and made his home in a hell. Not hell, but earth. He was spawned in that slime, conceived by a pair of those monsters born of Cain. Murderous creatures banished by God, punished forever for the crime of Abel's death. The Almighty drove those demons out, and their exile was bitter. Shut away from men, they split into 1,000 forms of evil, spirits and fiends, goblins, monsters, giants, a brood forever opposing the Lord's will, and again defeated. So I'm going to look at this part as well, because I noticed we're talking about how the Almighty, again, which is God, so we also have these Christian elements already. He's talking about how he split people and turned them into monsters, and they're opposing his will. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to make that blue. So I've got yellow for characterization, green for imagery, and then the blue here, which I'll make my annotation, will be for conflict. Okay, and so I'm going to say we have a conflict, demons versus God. Grendel came from monsters and is against God's will. Okay, so now I have 3 pieces, which is the minimum for this page. So can you do more than that? Absolutely. Vocabulary, by the way, counts as part of annotation, but that's not all I should see. So if I want to look at like, where's the word? The Moors. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to come up here to dictionary, and it says a large open area of grass that is often used for farming. Okay, so I can close out of my dictionary, maybe. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to make my vocabulary purple or pink or whatever that color is. And I'm going to say, I'm going to label it as vocabulary and say something like large, flat, ground area. Okay, and so that's basically what I want you guys to do for each page that we work with for Beowulf. Okay, and don't forget that you also have those Ed puzzles that will help you work through those annotations too.